Hey guys, welcome to Larry Wright today. We're just hanging out and we are brainstorming. So I'm really glad that all of you are joining us today or catching this video later. So here's what we got talking about today. What can we do to help support teachers as authors? So we know that teachers have a limited budget. They're possibly paying for extracurricular resources on their own. What can we do to provide educational materials that are relevant, rigorous, and fun?
I'm just speaking as a high school teacher myself. When we talk about teacher budgets, to kind of keep it in perspective, my district, and I'm lucky, but they sometimes give us like $200 to spend. But you can't just spend it anywhere. It's a catalog only, and all of the items on there are pretty pricey. So by the time you've bought hand sanitizer and let's just say you want giant Post-it notes, you're pretty much wiped out, when you consider your class sizes. So when we say teacher budget, we're talking about teacher pocket. It's not going to be coming out of some, and I get samples all the time from publishers, and they're like, look at this, it's a great resource for you. And I'm like, yeah, well, no. So I think if you want to target supervisors and school districts, you'll get more for what you're looking for. But if you're wanting to reach the teacher specifically, you're gonna have to talk the language of free, which free are very, very minimal.
Well, so I love the language of free, because as a teacher on a limited budget myself, when I'm going on Teachers Pay Teachers, for example, I'm looking at the free resources first. I honestly search by free, and then I search within my price range.
My price range seems to increase if it's labeled test or quiz, just because I need a day off. But yeah, you're right.
Or buying a unit, getting a unit plan. I will purchase a unit plan really quick that goes with a novel, because I know the teachers that are out there creating these materials, they're really putting thought into that process, and it might be tried and true materials that they've actually used, and wait, why am I not selling this? So it's we're supporting teachers too. But I am in the middle of brainstorming for Sweet Potato Jones, which is a YA contemporary fiction. And Allie just published Lenny the Last Light in Bug. Tell us about it. Tell us about your book.
Oh, I love it. It was so cute. It was a lot of fun to make, and especially the illustrations. That's the first time I've ever illustrated a book. The entire book. So it was a lot of fun, and there's a whole lot of me in it. And obviously it's about my kid, and you've seen her. It looks a lot like my kid. So it was really, really super fun. But I was excited about this session today because I've never promoted a book before, and I don't really know what to do. So I've got a lot of ideas, but I feel like a lot of them are crazy and kooky, and I don't know if they're I don't know. I'll put them out there and see what you guys think too.
And so, Riley, I think that's what we need to do. We just need to make this really huge brainstorming list for K12 authors, where we say, hey, if you're out promoting a book, getting ready to plan a launch, or if you're just in the middle of celebrating your book and you want to connect with teachers, here are some really good avenues that you can do, some things that you can do to help support the classroom environment. Especially in the fall, when everything is still kind of that feeling over us for the fall of the year, knowing that we will still have to create some type of virtual lessons. I think talking about that and trying to brainstorm could be very beneficial for teachers for the fall. So I'm pulling up a brainstorming that I'm going to do, so everybody will have access to this sheet. So there is the beauty about brainstorming, as Riley knows as a teacher. Every idea counts.
Yes.
There is nothing out there too far. Okay? Every idea counts. And hopefully, maybe we'll get some viewers that will be joining us, and they can chat some ideas. We can add theirs to the list. People can always email me at jenlowrywrites@gmail.com, and then I can add it to the, and we can just keep a database for author friends. We can share it in our writing communities. We can put it out on a blog. We can repurpose this for so many reasons. I think it's something that it's going to be beneficial to me. And it's all of Riley Cross. I'm just going to go ahead and say, if it wasn't for Riley and our conversation, she got back on track. I needed to get back on track because I'm working a thriller. And she reminded me about sweet potato. I was like, oh. And I was like, yes, I know I need to do it. Yes, Salty Ghost is here. She's in our comments. Hey, it's Salty Ghost's birthday today. She turned 18. Yay. Yes, Salty Ghost. These are teachers and my writing friend. So it's nice to have you here. We're talking, what would you like as a classroom student? So imagine yourself back as a senior. You can help us that way. What were some really fun activities that went along with novels when your teachers were presenting materials? We're going to add them to the list. Okay, I've got the. You guys can't see the list, but I have the list. Give us some ideas. What we got? What we got? Brainstorm ideas.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you were waiting for a comment there from your audience. I think just as a teacher, something that I love doing, I had an entire list of potential projects at the end of Anthem. And I told my students they could come up and pick one, but they'd cross it off the board. And then no one else could have that project. So they at first were kind of like, okay, that's not so bad, until they realized that they couldn't just pick an easy project because someone else already claimed it first. And then towards the end, it became very competitive. And we ended up with some pretty crazy projects that year because no one could have the same project. And the funny thing was the essay went first, and I don't know what was wrong with that particular student, but
that was their way of learning. They appreciated the essay.
Suddenly the essay became like thebomb.com, whereas if I had said everyone were writing an essay as the end of the novel, here's the prompt, everyone would have groaned. But because it was competitive and like you got to grab it before it's gone, they just somehow thought that one was the easiest. And I was like, no, it's really not. But I mean, as a writer, I think if you came up with a list of activities that specifically went with your book and offered this up as a lesson plan where, let your students have free choice, and you don't have to be so harsh on the grading. Just, you can give everyone a high score on this, or they can present it to your class and you can grade them off their presentation. But, as a writer, you can come up with a list of activities for your book and then give that to the teacher to then work with. And I think it's a fun way to think of how many activities can your book actually inspire. What can you do? You can create a writing prompt. You can create like visual elements. One student even made a 3D box out of cardboard with like a flame coming through it to represent, the light bulb and Anthem and stuff. So it was pretty interesting.
Okay, so I have 3 ideas out of that. I called it the wheel of choice, giving the students that opportunity to choose. Now, which if we thought about it, having 15 projects would be a great start for teachers, because then teachers will say, oh, they forgot this one. I've always used this one. I mean, we wouldn't have to give teachers a list of 30 projects, but I think like a list of 15 really great ideas, especially if the teacher does the cooperative learning, and that would give them a class size of 30. So I'm going to say like suggested, like just a list of 15.
15 is fine because you can always group students. It doesn't have to be individual. I had a very small class that year, so letting them pick whatever they want worked. Whereas if you just want to grade one presentation per group, like a list is 15 is perfect, because you have about typically anywhere between 25 to 30 plus students in a classroom, unless the pandemic changes that. But even still, 15 would be perfect.
Yep, because we're having 17. That was at 17. So We'll see, but I think that 15 still is good. No, like 15 different individual ones off the coast, and you guys get to choose. So you would pick one. Like, I don't want to go to their high school, Riley. Just like, no.
Even if you use a think, pair, share strategy, then 15
yeah.
equal 30 students because you have 2 kids partnered up on the same project. You know,
I've got a really good resource too that we use that I share, and it has 101 teaching strategies in it. Yep, and that would be really good if we could give that to authors. I give it to my PLT, and it has share, and it has a lot of that stuff in it. And so that way the authors could talk the teacher language. Let me write that down to give.
So, Allie, I've got a question for you. Like, would that sound intimidating as the writer to come up with, 15 potential classroom end of book activities for your story? Or, I mean, I'm just curious.
I don't think so. I don't think that's intimidating at all. I was just thinking that I am very food motivated, and I'm not really a teacher except for my 4-year-old, but whenever we do like lessons, I always try to come up with some kind of a food thing, like a snack that's related to what we're learning. For me, there's always like a Bible story or Bible verse element too. And then we do like a craft that's related to it, and usually a song that I'll sing related to it, and maybe something to add in colors or something like that. But I don't know, I think it could be kind of the same way. Like Jen had mentioned to me for Lenny the Last Lightning Bug, putting in coloring pages and putting this little light of mine in there. I tried to figure that out, but I haven't got it yet. But I think stuff like that.
Marketing really to the churches, making the activities structured for specifically Sunday school versus a public school. You have to kind of know where you're targeting those 15 activities.
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
And I know that with the song related at our school, Salty goes like snacks, even the high school kids. And we need to do more of that. When we read Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, we had a Food Network challenge, and we actually, in my class with ninth graders, and we did the topped baskets. Oh. And so teams had to compete and create recipes, and of course it was ice cream sundae kind of stuff. But they had to do all of these recipes, and we had like a panel of teachers that were on their lesson, that were on their planning period. So I'm going to add lunch to K12 just because Salty Days is like, we would like that in high school. And I think sometimes high school teachers will be like, no, that's for elementary.
Yeah, if you're targeting more, I think the high school students, you got to think kind of minimalist and less like coloring pages or crafts. You got to think more in terms of presentations or things that you can pull out elements, symbolism, the figurative language, and connecting to how it affects the theme of the story. You're going to have to kind of delve into the story, the plot and how it carries through. And you kind of just have to pick a little more intensive,
Yep.
So are you talking about like adding this in at the end of your book, or creating a new book to go with your book?
Like a supplemental teacher guide. That's the thing. Like providing teachers this free resource that has these activities in there where teachers could flip through, pick and choose.
I know you had talked about doing that before.
Yep. I think it's important for Sweet Potato, just like everything else, But I'm definitely putting down I didn't even think about recipes. That's why I need you guys in my life.
Recipes is good.
I mean, it's Sweet Potato Jones. They work in a diner. I mean, for real. Why wasn't I thinking this thing?
What you could do is create a recipe for Sweet Potato Jones contest.
You could do a cookbook. One of my author friends did a cookbook because one of the main places in his story was a diner as well. I thought that was the craziest thing I'd ever heard. I never heard of somebody doing a cookbook around their book, but people bought it.
Or to do it for charity. We're doing one for charity for the Raleigh Rescue Mission. So my cookbook will be Southern recipes, and then all of that's going to go to the Raleigh Rescue Mission. They're going to put it up into, they're putting it in the shelter. They're putting it at their thrift store. So I've already got approval from my publisher for that. but to do the like competition with the kids. When I was in Spanish class in high school, I still to this day remember we had to have a festival. And we had to cook all the food and bring it. Like kids could create like different like recipes with sweet potatoes and all of that and bring it in. Like,
well, just from my experience in my school, we're not really allowed to bring this whole food into the classroom unless packaged and sealed. If I were taking your ideas as a teacher, I would appreciate like a non-food approach. For example, an essay where what are the ingredients to success? And then you could write a letter based off the ingredients of success, or what makes, like some kind of positive thinking ingredients, and then encourage the high school students to donate canned goods or foods to local shelters for community service if their school requires it. So like writing a letter to a shelter plus delivering, canned goods, or, things that are a little more, so you got to kind of think as far as, high school goes, simple. We're not like the teachers that have the coloring sheets and the food out in every classroom. We're kind of grouchy teachers. We just kind of like, we give you work. So if you can make it as work related as possible, I think you get more YA exposure.
And so now Salty Ghost is saying poetry. Thank you, Salty Ghost. Because then what we could do, like even with Allie's, going and find poetry that relates to your book, to do like poetry extensions. I'm adding to the list. And yes, that is a yes to that, Salty Ghost. I love the like the like take a character point of view and write a short story, or do like micro fiction. Like we could do like a furious fiction competition with schools, or little short stories. I told Allie like she could do it where Lenny the lightning bug would meet a new friend, or a new friend comes to visit, and just do like writing prompt extensions. So I've got writing prompts.
Have teachers send you like coloring pages that their kids created based off after having read your book, and then you can feature some on your writing, on your author page, like, things that we can, like, you obviously would take off the child's name, or keep it to initials. But if the teacher is submitting it to you, then you know that it's, coming through appropriate channels. So
I think it's good for, okay, I wrote that one down where kids could be the illustrator. So you could talk about illustrators. You could have, and since Allie illustrated the whole book, she could do like a video talking about the life of an illustrator, and actually do like a guide, draw with me, and where she could draw with them. Have you guys seen this on YouTube?
Something kind of like that.
Where you could set your camera up, Allie, and you can actually like draw, like and record it and send it to the teacher, and have like a challenge for the kids that like gets their turn, like almost like paint night.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, like a paint night thing. I'm gonna write that down just because I can do paint night too.
That's what I was thinking when you were saying that. It's like wine and design kind of, but I mean not for kids, but
yeah. Hot chocolate paint night.
There you go.
Teachers appreciate video content, but I will say we're not going to appreciate long video content. I would say if you want to do a video of you doing the craft so the teacher can show it as a model to the kids in class, like Meet the Writer, you got to keep your presentations to about 5 minutes, like almost like do now length, because the teachers are going to talk most of the time in class, but we do want that 5-minute break so our warm coffee is somewhat warm for the first 2 sips. We'll put on a quick video, and then we're into the lesson. But if your video is too long, I think it would actually be a turn off for teachers, because we're not going to be allowed to show a 15-minute video. Keep it short, keep it to the point, and I think we'd appreciate it.
Jen, I was thinking about
Allie, go ahead, say it again.
Sorry, I get some feedback. I don't know if it's me. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I couldn't hear you.
Okay. I was thinking for sweet potato, that the main thing that keeps standing out in my head to me about your book, other than the Care Bear shirt, which I loved.
See, Riley, there's our Care Bear fan.
So much. This is so cute. with that, it's a completely different perspective from anything I've ever even come close to. I've never even known anybody that was homeless. Like, I don't know anything about that lifestyle. And I know that it was a fictional book, but it really brought some things like to my brain about what other people are going through. And when you were mentioning writing poetry or writing short stories, you could maybe have the kids write from a homeless person's perspective. I just try to make them think about what they're going through, because I never have.
In fact, making any character as a writer, like if you make up writing prompts for a teacher specifically that are character point of view, like please write from this character's point of view, that's something we look for on state tests, and that's a lot of the prompts that the kids have to write for. So we actually appreciate those kind of resources because, you know, a lot of times we're having to create them ourselves. One thing I told Jen, and I think it's still relevant, maybe not so much for the younger kids, but I think for high school, is if you compare your novel to maybe a classic piece and have like side-by-side text comparisons, because a lot of the state tests, at least where I'm at, they want the side-by-side comparisons. You know, can you analyze these two texts and come up with a common theme from both? So if you could take your novel and pair it side by side, or sections of your novel with like a classic Shakespearean text of some sort, or a classic poem, you're going to get a lot of, and I think maybe actually it would work for the younger grades too, a classic poem compared to your story, have the kids talk about it, discuss it. We consider that higher level learning.
Yes, love it. And I've taught Romeo and Juliet for years, and as soon as you said it, I was like, Riley, like why? Like, there's something about me and my librarians see me coming, and I see the look on their face. They're like, okay, here comes Snipper. She wants to talk on an idea. I need this kind of structure in my own life to help get my own brain going and to just tap into all of the valuable information you guys know. You know, before the end of the day, they're going to have a list of a million things that we can do. But it's like, that's what we need. We need a longer list, so then when authors see it, they can say, oh, that was reasonable for me. I can see how this can work, you know, and then they can pick and choose. Like, we got your twin mom author. She commented. She's a mom, a teacher, and a children's author. She said she loved the snack idea. She loved the social emotional skills. So, like, talk about the big emotions that come with it. Because, Allie, yours is about grief because you're having to say goodbye. Mm-hmm. You're having to say goodbye to something that you've attached yourself to. And so, those emotional turning points, too, to help the teacher connect with those social emotional. I'm going to add that in there. Thank you. Hi. So, I'm going to say hi to the big emotion.
And I mean, for writers who are planning on not capitalizing, but like putting out their materials now so teachers can kind of think about it over the summer, you want to think about that social emotional aspect as we're going into this school year, which is tumultuous to say at best. I mean, these kids are coming from traumatizing, some of them from very traumatizing situations. So you want to kind of incorporate some of that sensitivity into whatever materials you have to pair along with your text. Because I think teachers will appreciate, they're looking for things to help them ease into the school year while addressing those needs.
I know something that the senior class does, they do the theme song comparisons. You know how you said, Riley, where, you know, you can pick like Shakespeare or classic poetry. They actually ask students to go out and find songs that are relevant, that actually match the theme of the text. So that could be something else. Another thing I love to do is create soundtracks. So like the student playlist, especially if we're talking about middle grades or YA novels where you have extended chapters, they can create a great soundtrack for it, as if that's their movie soundtrack playlist thing. I'm gonna write that in there because I want to remember that.
You can even have them create character sheets where the characters are online. For you, your character, you know, in your book, like what would they have on their their Snapchat page or on their Instagram, or, you know, so you can play around with some of those resources.
Yeah, I love it. We used to do, a lot of times the kids were on Facebook. They're not on Facebook anymore. They live on Instagram. But a long time ago, teachers would do, if Romeo and Juliet had a Facebook page,
Right. Love doing that one.
the whole profile, the fake profiles that the kids would create. Now you could do, you know, if your character had an Instagram page, or if your character had a Twitter page.
And you can even interconnect it further. Let's say you have picked a classic poem that you're wanting to compare your book to and create resources for. So then what lines from the poem would this character most likely create or put in their update, and why? You know, so you can take it a little further and kind of connect everything, the poetry to the character profile page that you're trying to make.
And then they can create like the images on Canva, like we do for so with the symbolism, like they have to have the picture representations that would go along with the book. There's a teacher at my school that does create your own book cover. I don't know if any of your teachers do that one, Riley, but they take the novels and then they recreate the book covers. So the students have a book cover competition. That could be something. Let me add that on there because I just thought of that one. You could also do black poetry with your pages. Oh my gosh, this is one of my favorite things to do. Have you ever done that?
Which one?
Blackout poetry.
Read, write poetry?
So it's called blackout poetry. Where
I haven't, yeah.
Yeah, you take a page of the book, any of the pages, or you can just take a section of your book, and then the kids have to black out the words that they don't want to use, and then the words that are left make up a poem. It's outstanding. It is such a good activity, and the kids love it. And the things that they can come up with from the pages, my AP teacher does it. She does it for her AP class, and that's where I learned it from. And I was like, okay, I'm using this for the rest of my life. And so let me write that down. It's called Blackout Poetry. They actually have websites that you can go on and generate things, but you can give the teacher a screenshot PDF of one of your pages where the kids will be able to go in and do blackouts. You could actually give them some pages from your book. They're just random pages that you do it with. So let me write that down. So just give teachers random snapshot pages. It doesn't have to be big pivotal moment pages either. So your author said aligning the lessons with other subjects like reading, writing, science, or math. Of course, cross-curricular types of activities, especially with Ashley's, because hers is science related. Hers is about bugs, about seasons. Doing some science related stuff in yours. So let me do mine's more like sociological concepts. Like mine could be paired with like intro to sociology courses, food deserts and problems that people have in poverty areas. Like with mine being the YA, if we do that route, we could tie it to. I'm gonna write that down. Don't forget that. And then
I would also say if writers are nervous about creating materials that teachers might like, you probably should just grab a teacher. Just grab a teacher, promise them copious amounts of coffee or whatever you want to bribe them with, and maybe a dinner, and sit down and have them like help you kind of talk through or create materials, and then getting it out like as a promotional package. I would target supervisors first, because usually you can find their emails online because we're public employees. I would see if you can like get a hold or get personal meetings and offer those free resources. And I think it's good because then you're connecting with the audience that you really need, which is young adults. And then if you connect it to classic books, I think you're going to get a wider reception as far as, okay, this is interesting, let's use it. You may be able to offer to run a professional development sessions for the supervisor as an author. and see if they would let you speak directly to teachers and run a little lesson with them, you know.
That would be good. And even if it would be like particular, like professional learning teams, you know, just getting the word out within the English department or within the science department, you know, maybe being able to hook in like that. I'm right. I'm like, supervisors are a place where Riley would start because I'm a literacy coach, and I know that, like, I have the like pulse on all the, you know, the goings on, and I can connect people with people. That would be a good place to start if you have literacy coaches that you can, you know, contact. Usually we're considered, like, if you go to our website at schools, those that have literacy coaches, it's like other personnel. We're like the other. We're like with resource personnel, like with media specialists, you know, we're listed with intervention. And so you could tie it in, you know, you could try to find literacy coaches, media specialists, or librarians. We call them media specialists now, but your librarians would be a great place to start.
Librarians. Not just your public schools, think about, you know, your private schools or other, you know. You're on. Yeah, I'll take care of it. This is my librarian buddy.
She's precious.
Love it, Riley. Hey, darling. So another thing is holding virtual book readings. So especially for, like for me, I could just have the reading of the first chapter because we're allowed to release our first chapter on our website. Having the sneak peek first chapter available, I think is good. For, you know, for any teacher would maybe as a whole kids can listen to the beginning of the book. Hey.
Well, my time might be limited.
Love. So let me go write that down about virtual book readings. Like that could even be for public libraries.
While you're writing that down, are teachers just allowed to, like if I approached a teacher and said, here's a guidebook and this really cool book called, you know, Sweet Potato Jones, teach it to your class, would they just be allowed to take that and teach that?
So according to the freedom that the teacher might have in the district, like we have books that have been aligned and have been chosen for us.
Correct. I have to get through my book, which is why I said if you connect it to a classic novel, I'm more likely to be able to use it. And I would use passages from your story. I wouldn't be able to have my kids read your book and read Romeo and Juliet at the same time. But if you could give me excerpts, I can use that.
Okay, so prepare excerpts. And preparing excerpts would be really easy because then you could just pick smaller chunks of your book. But for you, Allie, story time is a lot different, like for K2 books. You know, like they're always looking for those quick morning circle reads, those, you know, quick literature reviews. Whereas when we're taking the YA world and the middle grades world, they already have possibly units that are prepared and books that they're having to push out. So I like Riley's idea where you can give excerpts, or if you know that these are common poetry pieces that are taught, for example, in 9th grade, these are poetry pieces we lean to, trying to see how you can connect things to classics. I think for high school,
you just take sections of your story that can stand alone and that can be compared directly to just a section of classic literature. Create the questions for the teachers, have, you know, or the activities with, you know, comparing the two texts for the teachers. I think that would be pretty powerful. I could use that quite honestly, because I've used my own writing in class. So I will take a short story that I've written and say, okay, students, we're writing a myth. This is a myth. We're going to read it. And at the end, I'm like, I actually wrote that. So if I have the freedom to do that with my own class, I would have the freedom to do that with a local writer.
I'm going to put Kelly Gallagher's name on here because he really pushes the mentor text. Like people, like authors could go to Kelly Gallagher's work and see how he presents how to teach with mentor text. Teachers would know Kelly Gallagher and they would also respect that he's done that research. So it's I hadn't even thought of that. So now I've got to call and let the boys know that their piano lessons are going. So y'all going to see me calling them in the other room. So it's, hey, can you check? Miss Cat just zoomed in for Sam. See if it shows up. Okay, love you. Bye. It's terrible. I'm calling my child in the other room. Your day will be early where you'll be calling your child in the other room. Right now, it's a precious time. Okay, so I got that one written down. Another thing, too, is that Sunday school, like Allie, yours would be perfect for Sunday school, vacation Bible school. And when I was talking to Riley, I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't even thought about a book club. Like, like youth groups might want to do book clubs and like assign readings to their classes. So I'm putting in here like, I was like, oh my God, I haven't even thought about it. And libraries also do book clubs. And so we need to tap into public library book clubs that are already existing and the mom groups at libraries. They have story time, Allie, at public libraries. How could we get into story time where you could read Lenny to a group of moms and their kids?
I tried contacting our local library about that, and because I actually know the lady that runs the Clayton one, but I don't think so. I guess maybe because everything's kind of up in the air right now with COVID and whatnot, but I haven't really heard a yes or a no. So
I got no response back either, but I'm going to go more for, because I didn't get a response back from the town, like the school kids. I didn't get an email back. I'm going to go to the county library, the one that's in Smithfield. I'm going to just go to the next one up because I know they're probably wanting virtual programming. And they would love to have someone to support them for that.
And you can always volunteer as a writer to teach creative writing to teens or offer like classes that'll give you some teaching experience so that way you kind of get a small idea of what a teacher needs when they're facing all of these kids in a room for 45 minutes, you know, what's going to keep them occupied and what's going to really keep them, you know, busy.
I think that like journal prompts, like those writing prompts that teachers could use just to go along with the mentor text, not just the piece, but then have them have a prompt to go along with it. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to add that here at the top because I think writing prompts, like journal prompts, is super easy to be able for us to come up with quick. I think authors could easily come up with that. That wouldn't be an intimidating thing. So I'm adding that kind of closer to the top.
A long time ago, I was approached by, this was like when I was a young teacher, I was approached by a writer and they said, you know, hey, you know, maybe I can talk to your kids about what it's like to be a writer. And I thought, oh, that would be an interesting day in class. And like, and of course, if the kids email me, I'll answer any questions. And for me, that was an immediate red flag because as a teacher, we don't want our students communicating with adults we don't know. So if as a writer, you want to reach out to teachers, please don't trigger our red flags. All communication needs to go between, it needs to come from us. Our students, we will take their names off their questions and we will submit them to you. You may answer it in a video that we will choose to play in class after we've previewed it ourselves. So, you know, you're not going to really have live interaction with your target audience, but know that if you're working with the teacher, that's probably the appropriate handoff. I mean, and there's probably nothing wrong with the writers. It's just that you don't understand the educational world, then it's a little harder for you to kind of reach that audience that you want.
Right. because they're far removed from it. Like they're so far removed. Yeah.
You might not have remembered how much work it was for your teacher to show that video in class or get you that special speaker without, your name going through the board minutes as an approved person to speak to teenagers. So if you even want to speak, in a large audience setting, you're going to have to get board approval. So if you want to work around the board approval process, then all communication goes through the teacher.
Yeah, and we do school-wide approval where we have to fill out a form every time we have a speaker. It has to be approved by our principal. So that's something that I do as the literacy coach, is to make sure that all those forms are in place. Doing those Zoom ins and having the teachers lead those Zoom ins, that's something that's easier with the teacher leading everything. And pre-recorded question answer. I really like that anyway. That pre-recorded question and answer. Oh, somebody had a question and here's my answer. I love that. So you could do, I'm trying to see how I could describe that because I love that idea.
Well, you could also put your pre-recorded question and answer on your website. So the teacher could go to your website and play that question and answer. Again, removing all names because we want to protect our students, but ask, here's the question, here's the answer, post the video. You don't know how many other classrooms that gets you into as well.
Exactly.
Under the right hashtags on YouTube, if you file it correctly, you might get a lot more views.
What kind of questions are you asking?
Initially it would be questions from the students themselves. They might ask you questions like, what's your creative process? I struggle writing a story. What struggles do you have? It'll depend on the age of the students too. The kids might ask you character-specific questions. High school students might be more focused on, hey, how can I write faster, easier, and better and get an A? Because they're focused on that one thing. Like, I have to write a story. They're forcing me to write a story. So please share with me your creative process. So maybe I won't spend 5 hours on my homework tonight. They might lean more towards that.
How do you tackle writer's block? I've heard that one a lot from teenagers. Like they'll start to write, but then they'll hit those walls. How do you do that? Another thing too, in middle grade and high schools, we have writing clubs at our schools. And so that would be a great way to connect if you guys have local writing clubs. Like we have the Mighty Pen at my school. So you would contact who's the sponsor of clubs. And so you might have newspapers at the school that might want to do an author interview of a local author. So like a journalism class, somebody might want to contact you. That would be a great way to get in front of your audience. Because many high school students or middle grade students would possibly read that paper more than they would your local News and Observer paper. And
right.
So, and even if it's not a big group that reads it, the people on that newspaper staff read it because they were required to, they were the ones. I just thought about that one. So newspaper staff at school. We also have broadcasting classes, journalism classes at the high school. They could do like an interview. Okay, so I wrote that one down. Okay, guess how many ideas we have already? We have 38. I knew we were going to get it. I knew we were going to get tons of stuff. So we have 38 ideas already, and we've been talking for 45 minutes. That's okay, let's see. So the pre-reading activities, like Riley was talking about things to do after the book is done. Something that I always consider is build-up activities that you could do with the to help the teachers for inferencing skills, those predicting skills early on, setting them up some type of thing. Alex, we already talked about the thing, but I'm going to talk about there's like pre-activity, during reading, and then post-activities to consider. So
like for Allie's book, that's good. For Allie's book, that's good because you need the built-in activities while you're reading. If your book is targeting the older students, then you're just going to have to focus on experts, or like just little sections, little passages, because otherwise, I mean, until your book blows up and becomes an amazing bestseller and they add it to the school curriculum, you're really not going to get too much more than those short passages, unfortunately. Whereas, Allie, I think you have a better opportunity to really get your book in the classroom.
So agree. So agree. Another thing, I was thinking of Allie when you were talking. So like for Ada Jones, I was thinking, when I was talking to you over the weekend, I was thinking, doing the video series where you do have some of those tough questions that you could talk through and you could relate it to Bible passages. And I could do it with a Bible devotional, like just a quick Bible devotional for teens that could go to churches. Like I was thinking about doing that separate because I would know what my target audience would be for the youth group. So creating like a quick Bible devotional, even if it was like 7 days of a Bible devotional, I think that would be pretty reasonable for an author to be able to pull together.
If you're targeting public schools, then I would just,
like the Christian schools or churches, and doing like a 7-day devotional. Like Allie, that would go good with yours too. Like you could have a little K2 devotional that could go along with it every day. The mom could do something as an extension, and it could be like a little devotional companion.
Yeah, churches would be devotionals, whereas public schools would be elements, like figurative language. Like you could do a short 5-minute video on similes and a simile in your book and talking about it and what does it reveal about the character, and upload those to YouTube, So like I said, churches you could focus on like a devotional for each day, whereas public schools, you focus on the elements that they have to teach, because you never know how many hits. Like, how many times I go to YouTube and type in video for whatever figurative language element I want to focus on that day because I'm just bored of the ones I've been showing in class, So, you might be able to get some audience as well.
And I think not like a video where you have to subscribe to my, website in order to get exclusive content. I think teachers would just appreciate seeing the playlist, and we could send them the playlist of us talking through something really quick. And even if it was, like you said, give them an exact example out of the book. And then after you read, Lenny, the Last Lightning Bug, maybe you'll find another example, of how figurative language is used, or how symbolism was used, or, what was the theme, whatever. It could be a really quick, short. We could even do like a Google slide to go along with it that kids could do themselves as a review. That would not necessarily have to be teacher taught. So I'm going to put that idea down too. Like, that's for review. And then I can show Allie later how to find the K2 standards for her target population. So that way you can use some of that language specific work when you're building anything that you would want to give to teachers. And you can connect it right back to the curriculum that way with the standards.
Someone's getting cranky.
Love.
Thank you. Have a good one, Allie. Good luck to you. I'll have to read your book.
So
I have a 4-year-old, so he loves listening to all of the stories.
Riley, we love you. We're so excited about your sci-fi YA coming out. Guys, we're going to keep you posted. Thank you so much to my sweet, dear writer friend, Riley Cross. Go follow her online. You can find her on Twitter. I'm going to put the links down in this description, Riley, so people can connect with you too. So, all right, love you. Okay. So, Allie, oh my gosh, I'm telling you, I love these brainstorming sessions.
Yes, that's a ton of information because I don't know. I wasn't even thinking about doing stuff for teachers, but while you guys were talking, I don't know if you could see my brain doing stuff, but I just got a million ideas for me, for my little kids book for Sunday school and stuff. And then also for Brendan Green, just thinking about all kinds of elements that are in that story that kids can learn from. So, and also for Sweet Potato, because that just there's so much in there that everybody needs to read and needs to learn from.
Love you, love you. Okay, I'm putting design a t-shirt because you know how much I'm onto the t-shirt thing, how much I love it.
Yes.
Teespring is my company, Allie. I love the quality. This one is the WWJ.
Yay.
It is good quality. So finally, I have found a great company that I can feel confident about saying this is now merchandise worthy to be able to share. Okay, so now we're at 43 ideas. Did you have any other ideas that were coming out at you that we can add to the main list?
Well, as far as for teachers and all, I don't really know about that, but I was still thinking about I had mentioned before about doing the Q&A with the park ranger. That also happens to be my amazing cousin. And I think that doing stuff like that is really cool because it's gonna get out of just whatever the straight line that I'm thinking of for publishing a book is going to be. So I was thinking, I mean, you could have interviews with anybody in those fields and just, I don't know, I'm sure there's a whole lot of stuff we could do there.
What is it like to own your own diner?
To what?
To own your own diner. We could do diners.
Yeah.
You know, it wouldn't necessarily have to be running a nonprofit, running a homeless shelter. I could do those too, but we could also do just Sweet Potato Jones and working at the diner and what's it like to be, you know, that kind of thing.
That's true. You could do a whole little mini series on where like Jen Lowry, I don't know, does research or something like that, and where you kind of go to different shelters and different. I didn't know there were places like Sweet Potato and her family stayed for 20 weeks, I think, or was it 20 days?
20 weeks. The transitional shelters. I modeled it off of one in Virginia. So there's like transitional housing. And the good news about the one in North Carolina is that they allow family units to stay together. Because oftentimes shelters are like they'll separate the men and the women. And so this one keeps families together. And I found another shelter that kept families together. And that's how, you know, I kind of used it as a part of my research too.
Maybe you could interview like the director of the shelter, or even some people, if they don't mind being on camera or whatever, some people that are, you know, utilizing the shelter and just kind of get a background.
Well, they already have their own videos too. Like the shelter has their own videos that they've created of their stories, but people might not go to their website, which would be really good to send them to that website, because then if people felt led to donate or do like a fundraiser for their school or something like that, or for their church, they could already have like, oh, there's that donate button. You know, it could kind of lead them to that. Okay, so I like the mini series, like Jen Lowry does research. And that's where you could tie in a lot of the nonfiction work that we do as authors. And that's the same way for Lenny. Like you're doing bug research.
I did, actually.
I love the video of you guys catching the lightning bug.
Yay.
Like, did you enjoy doing that?
It was super. Well, it was something we were going to do anyway. And it just happened to be the same day that I launched the book. And so I had to record it.
Love it so much. Okay, so I've got thinking about churches and schools, church schools, you know.
Yeah.
Daycares for you, Christian daycares, Allie.
So my home church, Countryside, actually still does a daycare and school. I don't know if they're still doing the school. I think they're just doing the daycare now. But when I was growing up, they had a school. And of course, that popped in my head. And I thought, well, there's a lot of places like that around here, too. And I'm sure, I know we can, the director's information is like right there online.
Yeah.
So I haven't figured out a way to tactfully say, hey, here's a little bit of my book. Would you wanna read it, and then maybe buy a copy, or even just have a copy there for people to see. I haven't figured out a tactful way to do it yet. I'm just kind of blunt and like, hey, literally, just made this book. Would you like to see it? Can you do something with it? But I think the more I do that and the more places that I talk to, eventually I have to get a yes, right?
Yes. And if you do the materials and you provide some of the materials for them, like with me, when I did Brinkley's materials, I created it on Canva using the book cover. You've got your own illustrations that you're able to build, your little resource guide. If you've got videos to go along with it, you've got the book trailer. Let me add the book trailer on here, even though you've already done it.
No.
The book trailer is awesome because it gives the student the opportunity to be able to visually see all of that. I still think it's important to do a Pinterest board so that way.
Oh, yeah, I gotta do a Pinterest board. What do you think about doing like a first edition or whatever like it is now, and then creating another edition that has the resources like at the back of the book, and we call that one the Sunday School edition or the devotional edition or something like that?
That would be cute. That would be really cute.
Do you think it would be better to do just like questions separately, like a guidebook separate?
I like it separate though, because like if you would go to teacher stores, or teachers are used to buying the novel companions.
Mm-hmm.
We were used to always getting that. Like if you're going to be teaching All Quiet on the Western Front, we would go look for the companion book to go along with that novel. And so a place where I've been putting it is Teachers Pay Teachers. It's free to have an account there, and you can set up materials that people can go there and download for free. Okay. So you can create all kinds of things and just use it as downloadable content, and teachers can pull it. Sunday school classes can pull it. And a lot of people are used to being on Teachers Pay Teachers. I mean, I do have some things on Teachers Pay Teachers that people are buying. Like I do stuff for like my teacher world. Not all my novel stuff is free, like my companion books. But I do have them there, and just in case somebody finds me on that platform, they have the free teacher guide. And then I can link on my website. We're going to have to link educational resources on our websites. We need to mark that. So that way, if people are finding us on our websites, we have a page that's just dedicated for educational resources. Okay.
So would you have it, you would have like the teacher guidebook would be free, and then like a link for them to buy your book?
Yeah. Yeah. And then if you do it, you can make it a PDF and they can just download the PDF, or in today's world, teachers could just open it up on their screen, and it could go on their smartboard or their projector, and they could just flip through the book. They don't have to download the PDF for 15 students. They could just have one up on the main screen in the classrooms. So we just need to give them access to that PDF somehow, where they wouldn't even have to print it. They could just sit there and post it up on their computers, and they could have it, or they could send it to the kids, as a PDF. I think making things in the PDF format is easy, because you can do PDF for Word documents. You can just change the file to PDF, or you can create PDFs through Canva when you're downloading it. And I think that would be like the kind of the format. But you could also,
again, I was kind of it kind of missed how you guys said, are teachers allowed to, now like for Sunday school teachers, I know it's kind of, at least the way we do it in my church, it's basically just whatever you can find. And you're allowed to do it at your discretion. But I know that teachers in schools, even probably private schools, it sounded like you have a little bit of choice in there. But how would you go about bringing, like if I knew a teacher and I wanted to hand them this guidebook for sweet potato or for Grindemere Green, how would they get permission to use it in their class, or would they get permission to use it in their class?
So first, they would need to pre-read it. As a teacher, pre-read the material, see if they find that it would be appropriate for their class and their district. That's like for me, for Sweet Potato, I'm going to be targeting private schools and Christian schools and Sunday schools and youth groups. I am specifically targeting those. I feel like I will have a stronger entry point into that, not just necessarily because of my background in Christian ministry, but I want devotional companions to go with mine. And so if I know where I want it to go, it's an easier in for me and the way I approach it. So like with yours, you would be the same way because you have religious elements in your book. You pretty much know that you can have daycares, you can have libraries, that they would know that there's religious content. You can just let them know. There are religious themes in this content. You could tell them what the theme is. If you wanted just to go ahead and tell them go ahead and write it in your little blurb. Give them the blurb of your story inside the email. But you can also target Christian schools, private schools, and then the Sunday schools. With that, you've got a huge in. There's a bunch of these. They're huge. And we are writing for, we are Christian authors. We're writing for Christian populations too. And even though Sweet Potato is going to have that mainstream appeal, I know that if I'm pitching it, I'm going to be better served of getting more of my target population with students that are in youth groups, students that are, library groups that will opt in, and then using mine as SSR. So silent sustained reading is huge. I truly support silent sustained reading where kids can go to a shelf and decide whatever book they want, regardless, whatever the content is. They have the personal choice to choose books. I don't believe that we should, lock books down. I think we should open books up with a variety of topics, diverse topics, and let the child, and then if the parent wants to, coordinate with the child, to have that freedom to be able to get books. So I can see Sweet Potato Jones being in a public school as an SSR read, but not as a classroom read.
What's SSR?
Silent sustained reading, where like kids just would go to pick books off the shelf and they read on their own, log in their books. It's like an independent, remember that drop everything and read time where teachers would have personal libraries? Like I could see teachers offering it as an SSR read, but because we already have novel units that in the high schools that we buy, like they read Fahrenheit, they read Lord of the Flies, they read Of Mice and Men, like they already have it. That's why when she was saying do an excerpt, that could be a way in, just for them to have an opportunity to see a piece of your book. Whereas for you, you have a wide open market with all of those other places, because I can't get into daycares like this way. You know what I'm saying? But you've got daycares, you've got a lot of private places, daycares, homeschools. We cannot forget our homeschool families.
That's true.
We have to consider our Johnston County home educators, contacting them. And they have a Facebook page, and you can contact them through Messenger. That's the kind of stuff, like we cannot forget homeschool families because they are always looking for materials. They're always looking for educational guides. And if we can go ahead and prepare some things, it doesn't have to be extensive. Like what I'm thinking of is the more ideas we can generate when we go for the ones that are more practical for us, and we give them to the as a list. Did I share with you, Brinkley's?
The guide?
Yeah.
You sent it to me. I don't know if I ever opened it and pulled it up. Let me find it.
I'm looking for it now. So I have the educator guides. So I can screen share. I'm not saying this is the best thing in the world now. But do you see the educator guides that I've created?
Yeah. I love that you've done that for so many of your books.
And it's just now having to actually tell teachers that I have them. That's the thing I haven't done. I haven't reached out. I've got to reach out. I did try the local library and got no response, but I do need to reach out more. That's why I need my friends around me, my accountability people.
It's hard because as much as we do believe in our writing and we love it, it's still hard to promote yourself. At least for me.
It's hard.
So hard.
It is so hard, but it's such a thing we have to do. And it's about getting access, allowing people to know, one, our books are available. We're here. We would love to support your class. We have all of these, ideas here that you could use for this, hopefully, doing these kind of things can help support teachers. So I just wrote like a Dear Educator letter.
Oh, yeah.
I have the table of contents. I have the social studies standards and the science standards. And I pulled them straight from the DPI website and I cited it. And so meet the star of Brinkley. This is Brinkley. Meet the characters.
Oh, I did look through this because I remember thinking that was so clever.
And then I gave different links. And then here's the reading activities. So it's not very extensive, write the next adventure for Brinkley. Different, there's the book summary and resources. But I just have to continue to build on it. I have it a first draft of it done. But the more ideas that I get, the more I want to keep going and making it more in depth. Mm-hmm. But I love creating the Google journal prompts and making them to where they could do a digital diary, a digital devotional. I'm thinking of creating a digital one for teachers and for youth groups. So they could have, we held the vision board. Me and Tish did it, and we had some other people on YouTube that joined us that night. And it was so much fun, and it was just using Google Slides. So I'm thinking to do some type of Google Slide presentation about the book and then having writing prompts to go along with it. I think that would be cool, just to have a writing prompt one.
Yeah.
And even if we just come up with 7 writing prompts, that's tons.
So you think for your for Sweet Potato, you would come up with 7 different writing prompts that would correlate with something, a theme, or something from the book?
Yep. Write from a character point of view, write a piece of poetry from, blah, blah, pick one of your favorite characters and, do it.
So are you just kind of thinking of, because I know you are a teacher, an amazing one yourself, but so are you thinking of sort of suggestions for your teachers that you read this amazing book and here's some things to help your students learn?
Yeah, it's like extension activities. Here are some extra activities that you could assign for your students that could help them explore the topics and themes in the book. It's like extension work. And so just giving a list of ideas, I think is beneficial for teachers because we can take a list and then our mind will start doing like your mind just was doing. And then you will start saying, oh, I see how I can apply this now. Or I see something that maybe I didn't think of. I see the parallel now between this book and Romeo and Juliet. I can see how I can relate it, or I see how I can pull it together, or this to that song, This Little Light of Mine. Somebody might have never thought of that song when they were reading the book. It might not come to them. But if you just tell them, this would be a great book to go along with teaching the song, This Little Light of Mine, then a music teacher might want to read the book and then sing the song. So it's not necessarily for just an English teacher. It could be for the music teacher at that school. It could be activities that could go across different classrooms. And then if a teacher wanted to sing it in class and have a brain break, that would be fun too. But I loved your idea. I loved your idea. As soon as you said snacks, I was like, I've got to come up with some snacks. I make homemade sweet potato pie. And I've got to share my homemade recipe. Like, why haven't I thought of all that stuff? It's because I needed the brainstorming time, you know?
Oh, good.
So I think, let's see, we have actually 50 items on the list. No, we don't. It's 33 is blank. Why is 33 blank? Hold on, let me see. I want to get an accurate number. We have 49. Okay, we could come up with one more and make a good even 50.
Yeah, make it 50.
Let's see. What can we do? What can we do? I love doing the contest.
Doing the what?
Contest.
Oh, contest, yeah. Like writing a story about your story contest?
Yeah, and we sponsor contests like that. Then their work could be featured on our blog and website and social media. You know how easy that would be to snapshot, and then you could put it up on your Instagram, but you just wouldn't have. You could put their initials, like
Yeah.
student initials.
So we did a when I was still doing the escape room, we created a contest for a poetry contest because I was just getting into writing and I wanted to do it because I love poetry. And we had the most amazing thing happen. We had a lot of entries which were awesome, and it just had to be escape room related or escape related. And the poem that won was a student from one from the local high schools, one of them. I don't really remember it, but we liked hers the best because we thought it exemplified escape room stuff. But one person wrote a poem that in my head, it was rap. Like I had to like put my beanie on and pull it down and try to look all thug. And then I went on our Facebook Live and I don't know if it was live actually. I think I just recorded it and rapped this dude's poem. And it was awesome. And I was going like doing the whole thing. And I mean, you can hear my voice. I am not like rap material, but it was amazing and it was so much fun. And how fun would it be if somebody sent us a poem about our book or related to our book and then we had to rap it?
Well, I would create a soundtrack and then in there or rap, write songs, and then Allie has to rap.
I mean, you could do something like that. Like if you write a rap, the author has to do it, has to perform it somehow, and that would be fun.
I love spoken word, and I could see spoken word for like sweet potato would be awesome. Like you could also, oh my gosh, you could have a local poetry readings, like at a local coffee shop or a library, and you could see if they could allow you to hold a poetry slam for the community.
Yeah.
I just wrote that down. We run poetry slams at my school every year, so I already have a lot of the materials for the poetry slam.
We have a lot of local authors that would love to hop in on that.
I think so too. That's another thing. Connect with other authors for their help. I love the video series idea and make them public on YouTube and just put them on a separate playlist. So that way it's like Lenny the Last Lightning Bug teaching materials or teacher resources. And you have that playlist there that they could use. Because you could take your book trailer and you could put it on multiple playlists. Doesn't necessarily have to be on one. You could choose a couple. So I think that would be good.
I think right now it's just like sitting there on my YouTube channel, but I did create a playlist called, I think I called it Bring the Light or Shine or something like that. And I started putting songs that make me feel happy, like make me feel full of light, and videos of laughing babies and stuff like that. And so I could put that in there too.
I think so too. I put
and then
down
I want for lightning bugs.
I put down your escape room idea and also beside it a scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
Like Lenny's lost his way. You have to help Lenny solve the clues to find his way back home, or or he has to escape before it's too late. Like you could create.
So who would you do that with, or do you mean like create one that other people could do with their kids?
Yeah, with their kids at home. And then I don't know if you've ever seen digital escape rooms, but we use them at work. Like we did Edgar Allan Poe, The Telltale Heart escape room. And we listened to the story. We had it all dark. We did the escape room, and we have like a timer. You can get the timers on YouTube that clock down, and they're really scary sounding and make them real loud noises. So you could like attach a YouTube video with the escape room material to give the parent, something that they could just click. But if you go to Teachers Pay Teachers and look up digital escape rooms, you can see how teachers are building these escape rooms, and they're using Google Forms, Google Slides. They're using things like that. Well, my kids did a digital escape room project where they had to then pick other short stories, and we had to escape. But
But like you can design your own escape room, kind of.
Yeah, digital escape rooms. So you could do a digital escape room of Lenny for families.
What? That would be cool.
Yeah, just look up digital escape rooms. They're really cool. If you look up, I didn't even think of it. But it shows, if you just type in digital escape rooms, it's like a step-by-step guide of how you can create one. But we used Google products when we were creating them. We just did Google's stuff with the Google form where they had to go in and put in the exact codes for it to unlock. And if it was wrong, it would say try again. You could set up Google Forms. There's a lot of videos on how to create digital escape rooms. And then it's like one and done. Like when you create one for Lenny, then all you have to do is hit copy on Google products, and then you would just change your content. It takes a little bit of time to make the first one. But once you make the first one, then your next educator guide or your next resources, it's easier because you're just making a copy and just changing the content up a little bit, for that particular book. So I think it's just, I've got it. So what I'm going to be doing in the next few weeks is in the morning, I'm going to be doing NaNoWriMo, where I'm going to be writing that serial killer book just so I can get that word count done and get that book out of my head. And then in the afternoon, I'm going to be doing things like this, and I'm going to be prepping educator resource guides, making things for Sweet Potato in the afternoon, because I don't want to let this story go. I want to keep writing, but I can't neglect the teacher guide either. So I'm going to balance my life like that. So I'm going to work a little bit of writing in the morning and still try to promote. Yeah. If it wasn't for Riley though, I was arguing about the serial killer. She's like, well, what are you doing? Have you contacted the churches yet? And I went, no.
How are you gonna contact the churches? Are you gonna
I'm gonna go to the youth groups. I'm going straight to the youth groups, and I'm gonna copy them. And then if I can't find the youth group leaders, I'm gonna copy in the secretary and ask them, could they please forward it to the youth group leaders of the churches? Because I think it would be great I think Sweet Potato would be great for middle grades and high school.
Yeah.
I think
it deals with a lot of stuff like the gangs. It deals with gang violence and everything, and trying to fit in.
Yeah,
it'd be good for them. I really like your ideas for merch too. I never even thought about it until you were like author merch, and you're trying to find stuff to do with I thought that was amazing. It just popped in my head for my Grindemere book. Like he's the rainbow keeper, and so there's a ton of things and the magical objects that he uses. I could create and sell along with it, or do as giveaways or something like that. It would be so super rad.
And it would be just fun to wear. Just fun to wear. Like seriously, I made I don't know if I showed you the Sweet Potato Jones shirt or not, but I actually just love, let me show you the Sweet Potato Jones shirt. Like we are so, but I absolutely love it. And I don't know, I bought this one to compare. Here it is. I'm going to show you. But it's so easy to make. You make them on Canva. They have a t-shirt design. And then you save it as transparency. So here's my different shirts. And so this one is my Sweet Potato Jones.
Oh,
So
the
I don't
morning
know.
glories, right?
Yes. So you know the symbolism behind the morning glory because you read it. So I was going to do different things, and Solomon was like, what is the biggest symbolism? Like, what's the real thing that stands out in the book, Mama? That's what you need to have on your shirt. He's like, you don't need a quote. You don't need, that kind of stuff. You just need that image. And so I thought about what would it be, and I found the morning glories. And then I tried to match it to all the colors of the book cover. And then I got the paint in the background and the dripping paint graffiti, so it would kind of match. Mm-hmm. But now I got like all this merch that I can buy myself. Like I can get my own sticker.
That's so cute. I love that. That's on Canva.
I used it I built that off of Canva. And then of course there's the cup. There's my cup. So
love
I
it.
got a coffee mug. Tish already told me today that she's going to make her own coffee mugs. Like she's going to design all of.
Oh, she should, because she's the coffee. The coffee writer.
So she's going to do coffee. That's going to be something that she's going to have available. I just think it's fun. Like it's fun to know I'm walking around. I could talk about Jesus and writing all day. Like I have on my shirt.
I love that. That is so cute. You need to make those available for us.
They're there. I have them on there. I just haven't promoted it yet because I wanted to wash the shirt. I wanted to go through the mom. Like I wanted to wash it. I wanted to wear it. I wanted to see. And it's great. Like it didn't shrink. But I still bought like a size up. I still did that because I wasn't sure how they would fit. So I'm glad I went one size up.
Okay.
But no, it didn't shrink anything. So I was like, oh, cool. This is a good, and it's a thicker material than the other company I was trying to use. So I wanted to do like the mom test of the material.
Really, really cute.
Yeah.
All right. So one last thing, it just popped in my head about like there's a scene in my Lenny Last Lightning Bug where he visits the horse across the street. And there is an actual horse across the street that this horse is drawn and based on and whatever. And I was like, well, maybe I could go and interview Mr. Rock because it's his horse and, find out the horse's name and get it on, like, record it. So I would put that on my YouTube channel and stuff. Is there anything else that you would do, like whenever you do your, if you do your Jen Lowry does research or something like that, what would you do with your videos?
I would put them on that playlist. I would make a complete playlist that would be the educational resources for your book. So title it Lenny the Last Lightning Bug Teacher Resources. Okay. And it goes under there. So that way when you're sending that playlist, you can give that one playlist link and say, on this playlist, you get to meet, your students can meet a park ranger, the owner of a fabulous horse from the book, and then and you're giving them that, and then you give them the link of the playlist. So I would build that playlist up and maybe do like one of those really quick journal prompt writing activity, little educational guide, and attach the educational guide into the email. Go ahead and give it to the people. So that way they don't have to go to Teachers Pay Teachers and download it because they might not know that site, Mm-hmm. But you're giving it for free anyway. You got it on your website. You'll have it there for them to download there. But if you're sending it out, I think it could give them that quick preview.
Okay.
And then if you join SCBWI, you can get on their Speakers Bureau. It's a part of the perk. So I don't know if you join SCBWI. SCBWI. Yep, the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators.
I do not know about that. Children.
I did that I put it in the link. Like you can also get on their Speakers Bureau. It's in there on I gave it to you. That's a really good one to investigate and look at for your future. It's your author world, since you're going to be author illustrator forever and a day.
I am.
You're hooked. You're hooked.
I love it. Absolutely love it. I have to actually, and I know this is off topic, but to separate myself, because some days I'm going to be an author and some days I have to make sure that I'm just being, the stay-at-home mom, because I've learned that if I don't separate them, then we both get very frustrated. So
yeah. And see, that's the part about the balance. That's where we have to learn to balance. That's why I said I can't neglect my writing part of my brain, and then I have to do the promotion part. And as scary as it is, I know I have to learn it and I have to do it. As awkward as it is, I know.
I like how you separated like morning and afternoon. Yeah. This is what you're gonna do.
Yeah, because if I don't, I'm not gonna put it as a priority. And so that's how I've decided. And this morning I wrote for 2 hours. I did writing sprints. Tish and them taught me about writing sprints. I didn't even know what they were. And Tish and Ann have been doing writing sprints for years. And they're like, Jennifer, you need to do it. And I'm like, what is it? And so they were like, go watch this writer online. This is the writer that I watch. And so I went to one that Tish recommended, kind of watched some writing sprints, tried writing sprints. I was like, wait, I'm really being productive here. So I started doing my own writing sprints, and I'm actually getting a lot more word count, getting a lot more sustained writing time in, because I'm putting myself in that writer's place. I'm giving myself that space to say, oh, I'm doing a writing sprint. I've got to show up. I'm holding myself accountable to it.
That's good.
And then these afternoons are just going to be promotion, book promotion, making flyers, contacting my launch team, checking in on blog reviews, all that kind of stuff I need to be doing for Sweet Potato. That's scary.
That's hard. It's really hard to put yourself out there. And then you have to wait. Then you like submit it and you talk about it and then you wait and hear what they're going to say. And it's terrifying.
It is extremely. That's why when you messaged me back, I know you were like, "Oh my God, Jennifer's attacking me," but I was like,
But usually when I message you, or when I'm messaging anybody, I'll be like, "Oh, I have 1 second," and I'll message, and then I'll go away and do something. So if I don't respond to you right away, please don't take offense at it. But no, I understand completely, and I was really surprised that I was the first person to have sent you back a review about it. So thing. So I am writing a review, and it's gonna they'll come in because it's amazing, and it leaves you with just a really good feeling, and that's the way books should be. I think the ones I like are like that anyway.
I'm glad you got it. It's like, you guys are my friends, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope they'll tell me the truth. You can always tell me the truth. That's the thing. Riley was like, okay, me and the Care Bear shirt, no.
Really?
It's like, but I have another art review. They love that. And that's the beauty of having different readers. And then our readers that are honest with us and say these little things they loved. And then, but that one thing you put in there I didn't understand. Was it about capturing their innocence? And I was like, it was so symbolic. That was such a moment for her in the middle of a place where she would probably have anxiety because she'd never been in such a big, she'd never been in a mall. She'd never had a mall experience. I've taught kids who've never been in a movie theater before. I've taught kids who've never, they just don't have those outside experiences like that. And so for her, she had a pivotal moment of a character change right there. Looking at that Care Bear shirt, it all hit her. In the middle of something that could have been overwhelming, she got something about herself by looking at the Care Bears. I love the Care Bears anyway. Hey, do you still have that pillow that you made?
I don't think so. It was it's been about 20 years ago now.
See, you were going down memory lane. Love it. Love it so much.
That was really, really neat. I had forgotten all about that until this morning. And going back through, I had found another 80s page the other day, and I was flipping through it, and I was, oh my goodness, I remember this. I remember those clothes. But then this morning I was trying to find a Hopeful Heart Bear shirt.
My cousin found it. My cousin found it. Yes. It's in my car. She found it, yes, and I actually emailed the American Greetings Company who owns the Care Bears, and I was like, "Can I use the hopeful heart image?"
I hope they say yes.
I hope they do too. So I'm praying about that. That would be amazing. It's like, we take chances. We talk about, oh my gosh, we're going to talk about emailing educators and Sunday school and youth groups, but it's always just a leap of faith. All of these things that we do, that. So, and we're doing it for the Lord.
All for His glory.
All for His. And so we've got to continue to push forward. So no matter how awkward and weird we may feel, the more we do it, I think the better it'll become a part of just the author business of things, and say, here we are. We have this book. We would love for you to share in this resource. Just wanted you to know it's out there, and I'm a local author or I'm a North Carolina author. And I'm going to hit it. Like when I did my dissertation and had to sit there and email all of those, churches, it didn't bother me a bit doing it because I was on a mission, to get a job done. Same way for this. That's what we need to think about.
That's true. When I was working, I worked at Rite Aid for a few years when I first moved here, when Bruce and I got engaged. And we had to contact, one of my jobs was contacting like everybody I could think of to try to make them get flu shots and do flu shot clinics. And I didn't have a problem doing that for them, like searching out places to do. So, I mean, why not do it as an author?
Exactly. What is it? So it's that, what is it about this book? We got to be the ones, since we're the champions of our stories.
That's true.
Let's be a champion for it. So, hey, I had fun hanging out with you today. We got tons of stuff. I'm going to share this with you now, and then I'm going to put it in the, okay, so I've got the link copied. I'm going to share it now, so anybody that sees this, they should be able to pull it up. I want to see if you can pull it up to make sure it works.
Okay.
So we'll make sure the link works, and that way anybody that's got this, they can see all of my...
How are you sharing? Are you emailing it or?
Did you see it in the comments? Can you see the comments? See if the block will work. Are you able to do it?
The only comments I see were from Riley. Let me see.
Oh, you're looking in the private chat. Go up to the top where it says comments. Do you see that? See if you can read the see if you can click in it.
The live comment. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Let's see this.
See if this will work. Because if it works, you're good. If not, I can just email it to you, and I'm going to add it to the bottom of the description. You should be able to view it. But we had a brainstorming list. We came up with 52 ideas.
What? No. So I benefited from this way more than you guys did for me, but I appreciate it so much. This was fun.
Yeah. Can you get it?
I can't. It's not like it's copy. I can copy and paste it.
Okay, see if it works. See if it'll at least open it up.
Let's try that one.
And then I'll add it in the description too. Hopefully it'll work. I'm gonna change it from edit to copy, so that way it'll force people to make a copy of it. Did it work?
It's saying I need access in Google Docs.
Try this one. Do the one that I forced a copy. I just had to change the rights on it. Try that. And it should force you for a copy. I called it Ideas for Marketing, Ideas for Creating Teacher Resources. Hopefully that
I need access.
Let me see. That's why I wanted you to do it before we left out of here. Okay, change it to anyone with the link. Anyone with the link can view. You sure you can? Wow. I wonder why. Okay.
Let me try this one.
It's so crazy. I'm clicking anyone with the link.
I think you're amazing, by the way, for figuring out all this technology stuff. I have done more in the past couple months since I met you guys than I have pretty much my whole life. I've learned so much from y'all.
And Tish is our genius. So we're just going to constantly keep learning from her.
She is amazing. And that one works.
Yay! See? Never give up. Okay. One works. I'm going to go in now and make sure I copy this link again. And as soon as I get out of here, I'm going to add it to the bottom of the description. So that way anybody that finds the video, they can get all of our mess. The thing is, if they can understand the way I typed all of those notes down, because it's just kind of like randomness. But what you can do is now that you've got it, you can make a copy of it and you can continue to add to it. Oh, Anonymous Mink is on it, so somebody's on it.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So, Allie, love you. I love
you too. Thank you so much.
I'm going to put down where people can find you. I'm going to add your podcast and YouTube and Twitter. You guys have to check Allie out. She's my sweet, dear author friend, and I love you, girl.
I love you too. Thank you.
Bye, guys.